My holiness blesses the world. Wow, this just told you the purpose of your existence in the world. Notice how you have no clue what that means. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because holiness is spelled wrong. That this entire time that it is actually the WHOLLEY. That this entire time holiness has been actually about that. We like to think that it's about purity and gentleness or something that deserves your respect, and that's true. But it is in the sense of wholeness. Holy. It's holy. Complete. And then if you recognize it in that way, it would be a little more understandable. It'll make a little more sense. Okay? So we have this weird religious thing that we made up this word referred to as holiness or holy, and it actually doesn't really mean anything but the fact that it deserves the respect. So it actually is attempting to tell you about holiness. And so what your purpose is to see, as we've been talking about, is that everything is within your holiness. Is it? It's in your completeness, just like that dreamer. Okay, so if you recognize everything is, say, blessed by your holiness, then you're whole and complete. And if everything is included in this oneness of being whole as the dreamer, and you recognize everything is in your mind, your purpose didn't really serve from your person. Your purpose actually was coming from this little person to the big mind, consciousness of Christ, which you actually are. So it's saying that your purpose actually is to discover the big mind of consciousness. That's what you're meant to be doing here. And so of course your holiness blesses the world, is referring to in the sense that when you accept what you actually are, the wholeness, the entire world, all of us, accept it as well. So it's like it's on everyone's tongue, on every knee will bow, kind of a deal. That we misunderstand through religion all of these years about what this sense of holiness really is, because we have idolized specific entities. And as beautiful as that is, and as wonderful as that is, people like Jesus has done this and heard it from every mouth, heard it from every one of us, all of us. It was done, but to us it was not. So it's actually to the perspective of you. You are responsible for this whole scenario, this whole thing, that we will all awaken as much as you awaken. Yeah. So the percentage of everything you see and everyone you see in the world, the percentage of stupidity you see is a percentage of a stupidity within your psyche that you believe you have. The percentage of holiness or awakeness you have in your mind, you will see that percentage of population of people in that same sense of awakeness or discovering it. It's pretty amazing that this goes with everything. The amount of angry people is about how much anger you have in your mind. So even though I point at the brain, it's not really about that. It's actually about the dreamer, right? So in that dreamer aspect, when we recognize that, there must be some anger in the dreamer's mind if there's angry people. There must be some sadness in the dreamer's mind if there's sad people. There must be stupidness in its mind, or at least believing about all of it, and that's enough. The people's the world with stupid people. So you actually are recognizing, as you come into, again, discovering more aspects of yourself, You're recognizing the correlation, the correspondence between all that you think, all the thoughts that you have, and everything in the world. Because your mind is a part of the whole mind. So you're not actually individual minds. You think you're individual mind because you associate it to the perception of your eyeballs and your mouth and your ears and your body, right? And so you think it's your own, but really you just don't recognize that everybody has essentially the same thoughts, but it is then filtered individually into, say, their body perception. But really everyone is essentially the same one mind. Just like in a dream. Can't get to it enough. The dreamer is the mind of everyone in the dream, right? So a lot of people get into this with this misunderstanding about money and value. People with course students especially get obsessed with this about, those who see themselves as whole make no demands, for one, thinking that has something to do with money. And there's some other lessons as well that we get into in a little while about paper strips and coins and stuff. And people think, you're supposed to just be doing things not for money. But really, this isn't about money. Like, as much as we think that money has value, it's not about money at all. This is about those who see themselves as complete, literally are the entire reality. When I want something, for one thing, for an example, I think of it, and then it exists. It comes into my life, and I have the option of saying that I find value in it or not. We all do this. We just think some other people exist and develop these things for us. So your manifestation is coming all around in every angle. It's pretty miraculous. Remarkable and miraculous together is miraculous. It's an interesting thing to discover yourself in it. So that payment is what they're referring to isn't about money. I mean, yes, everything demands payment, and of course you would be demanding payment in some other fashion or whatever. But it's more so about recognizing, say, the perception of things, and seeing will inevitably demand payment of someone. And it's actually referring to separation. The fact that payment is in so many different forms, not just money, but in a fact that there needs to be some sort of clash, disagreements in relationships, and all these different things where the payment is due. And even if it's an apology or forgiveness is a payment. Okay? So we want to recognize that this is actually about discovering the wholeness of what is, say, the mind of Christ. The holiness of the mind of Christ. That everything and all the world and all the universe exists within. So if we understand it in that fashion, it's not about holiness, and if you charge for something like this course, then it's no longer, I don't know. It's interesting how we're so obsessed with separation and money that we like to misunderstand things like that. I did too, my first time around.